Yeah, this is it. This is the first Tier 9 premium tank in World of Tanks. It's the Dezgamez K. And in today's video we are going to go through all the different topics and things and major qualifications of this vehicle, so you know if it is really and truly worth your money. Because the bare minimum you have to pay if you do not finish the marathon is €7.50, which is not high. But then again, you ask yourself, is it really worth my time to put into the game to get this tank? So before we go into the gun and give you the first glimpse of what this tank is capable of, I want to tell you, for my review, to get a subjective and objective view, I did play 20 games in this vehicle. I was capable of getting a 75% win rate as well as 3100 damage per game. However, I do wanna say two major things. After the 6 games I've played for both of the first impression videos, one of which you already saw on the English channel most likely, which was a live gameplay, I've played all the remaining games in the recommission mode, aka the results might be a little bit tainted because I, as a good player, are able and capable to adapt to new and changing things a lot quicker than your average Joe player. Meaning I was able to farm quite a bit more people in the recommission mode than probably on the standard battle, random battle mode. Also, I did decide to take in bounty equipment for this vehicle because the gun handling is atrocious, as is the DPM. You will see in the game that even with a bounty stabilizer and bounty rammer, the DPM as well as the accuracy on the move is quite atrocious. But with that, let's move into the gun. The gun itself is a 105mm L7 clone, which we would also see on the Centurion 7.1. It is a Centurion turret after all, so we are being treated with 390 alpha on its AP round, which have 252mm of penetration, and 390 alpha on the APCR premium round with 310mm of penetration. Add to that 480 alpha on the HE with 53mm of pen, so no hash for you. The base loading time of this gun is 11.5 seconds, giving it a base DPM of 2043. Added to this, we can get the DPM all the way up to around 2480 if we are using bounty equipment and brothers in arms and rations, which is still rather bad. There were loads of situations where I was already muscle memorying and feeling, yo, I can already peak again, yet I suddenly notice, oh, I still have over 2 or 1 second left to reload, because this is such a long reload time for quite low alpha damage. 390 is not a lot. To that, the rounds are rather expensive. The standard round is 1000 credits per shot, and the premium rounds are 4400 credits per shot, while still not being that effective. It's an APCR round, not a heat round, for example, which would help you to penetrate people above longer distances, as well as help you penetrate 40mm armor plates, something you would see on the Dezgamez on Tier 9 and Tier 10, aka the tier range you will predominantly see. Added to that, you have 10 degrees of gun depression, which is comfortable to use, and a 2.4 second aim time, as well as a 0.33 accuracy base. That is, sadly enough, not really good. Added to that, we have the hidden values of the accuracy on the move and turret traverse, and if you go to tanks.gg and compare them to something like a Conqueror, they are in the deep red. They are absolutely atrocious. It genuinely felt frustrating to play the Dezgamez K to me, because the gun is this unreliable, this inaccurate, this low performing. Yes, you are able to get decent damage out of it, but in the greater scheme of things, it just is a frustrating experience. A lot of shots miss because you still were aiming in and you have to take risky snapshots. Then, because you just have such a long aim time coupled with such poor accuracy on the move and during your turret movement. it really feels frustrating when you compare it to something like the Centurion 7.1 or especially the Conqueror, because I still consider the Stridswagen K to be a Conqueror with less armor and better mobility. On the topic of armor, I think it is time we have a look at its armor profile. The armor, well, it is a Kranwagen hull with a Centurion 7.1 turret, so you can already guess how the armor is. The hull of the Kranwagen isn't not good. It only will bounce some things if you are completely hull down because of auto bounce angles. Side armor with 70mm is not that good, and the roofs are super weak, meaning artillery can penetrate you, or you can get penetrated by EBRs rather easily at the rear and at the side. The turret front is on paper pretty decent, 254, but it's your typical British engineering, meaning it's flat. No angles, no ways to really truly make the armor better. And to that you have a pretty big spot on the turret face itself of the gun mantlet, which is just 236mm thick. The Stridswagen K is supposed to be played as a heavium or a heavy tank in general, so it felt to me while I was playing it incredibly frustrating to trade against other heavy tanks. Trading against the Conqueror, for example, was a no-go because you have a really small chance of penetrating him, while he just double taps the number 2 key and shoots straight through your gun mantlet, and your turret, even if you're on 10 degrees of gun depression. You know, this is how it looks compared to the AE Phase 1, tanks which I faced loads of time, and with AP rounds, the AE Phase 1 still has a 50% chance of penetrating your cheeks and a 66% chance of penetrating the turret gun mantlet. And this is pretty big spots on both sides. And as soon as the A Phase 1 loads the heat rounds, you can see 95% chance of penetrating. Here you have over 100%. You just hit here and you go straight through. The only ways the heat round to bounce is hitting the outer corners or hitting this spot right here, because we have overlapping armor, or bouncing off over there. And you have a big cupola, which is 88mm thick, but that is fine in my opinion, because if you are going hull down, it actually makes it rather hard to hit this cupola, and other than that, it's a fairly weak and good weak spot. But yeah, you are not a true heavy tank. I really need to stress this, because you cannot really play it like a typical heavy tank. I played the A Phase 1 sometimes in between games with the Stridswagen K, and I just noticed how much stronger the A Phase 1 is in hold down positions. The same goes with the Conqueror, and this makes the Stridswagen K to me personally rather frustrating to play, because you have nothing going for you. At least you have 1850 hit points, which is 50 more than what the Conqueror has to offer, and module wise I didn't encounter anything abnormal. Like, sometimes you get a damaged engine, sometimes you get damaged fuel tanks, but I never got ammo racked, full-blown HP up, weird sentence right there, but I also never really just burned out of nowhere, so module damage-wise it is fairly good. Let's move on to mobility. Base, we have 40 kph top speed and 18 kph in reverse, with an HP per ton ratio of 16.37. That is fairly okay. What I don't really get is why exactly the Kranwagen hull all of a sudden loses 20 kph top speed and 2 kph in reverse. That is kind of frustrating, so you kind of have to use a turbocharger, in my opinion, on the Stridswagen K to really get the potential of this vehicle. The good thing is, obviously, with the field modifications you are able to boost that turbocharger slot or turbo and make it go a little bit faster. However, 45 kph will be the maximum you reach with around 17.6 or 8 HP per ton ratio, which is good. It will help you to get up onto hills, like for example on the Far East map of the recon mode, or on Malinovka, or on mines. So here you truly shine as a more quicker tank. However, why should I play the Stridswagen K when I could just play a tank like the T10, for example, like the WZ-14 or the new TNH VZ51, which has better armor, better turret armor, burst, higher alpha, and is quicker. You know, that's the thing. That the mobility is okay when you compare it to a Conqueror, because Conqueror is slower, but it's not okay when you compare it to the Centurion, which has really similar armor profiles, with only being the hull being slightly better on the Stridswagen K. And lastly, we have a concealment and spotting. What are we supposed to say? It's a heavy tank, it has bad concealment. Go figure. And fuel range wise, we however have a little gem right here, 400 meters of base fuel range, meaning that if you have a good crew with both fuel range skills and if you have rations in it, you can get 452 meters of fuel range, meaning you do not need vents, you do not need optics to get the maximum amount of fuel range, and you get a little bit of camo braking as well. Let's real quickly talk about the credit income. It is a premium vehicle, right? That is the whole marketing of this Sabaton tank. It's the first tier 9 premium tank. And the credit making is there. Here I have your screenshot of 2 games I've played. One in the Stridswagen K, one in the AP1. In the AP1, I did 4000 damage, got 2 kills, and with Courageous Resistance, aka the modifier which I would get for winning the game, I got 64,000 credits. When it just did 3000 damage, barely any spotting, 670 spotting, and no kills, I got 94,000 base credits earned. So yes, there is roughly a 50% increase in credit making over a normal tier 9 tank. However, I want to point this out. Usually tier 8 premiums have a lower repair cost than tier 8 tech 3 vehicles. This is not the case with the Stridswagen K. I generally often see this tank to be around 20,000 to repair, which is a carbon copy of what the AP1 is. And second to that, as already mentioned, with the gun being very frustrating and very derpy, there is no real benefit, because sometimes you have to just use premium rounds. 252mm of pen will not cut it against tanks like the Mäuschen, tanks like the Conqueror, tanks like the Type 4 Heavy. You just have to use premium rounds in those situations to have a chance of penetrating. And if you miss or if you bounce, boom! There goes 4,400 credits. I still had games where I performed decently, but because I had to shoot so many premium rounds to be effective for my team somehow, I genuinely lost credits. And that's just frustrating for a premium tank. I don't want this premium tank to just spam gold only and always make money, but the fact that you are sometimes pushed into shooting premium rounds because of the enemies you're facing, IS-32 for example, ST1, Mäuschen, AP1, all those Super Conqueror, in general, all those tanks, it just feels like the credit gain in total is worse off than what we have on tier 8 premiums. And don't forget, tier 8s still can play skirmishes, while the Stridswagen K can't. And in skirmishes you can do loads of money with clan boosters and with your clan mates in general. Let's wrap this tank up. The gun is nothing special. It has nothing going for it. It is frustrating to use because of the very bad gun handling on the move and the accuracy in general with bad DPM. The armor for a heavy tank is lackluster, and the mobility is the only partially redeeming feature, which is getting undercut by the fact that just recently got the VZ51, which is incredible quick still. And the armor wise, Conqueror AP1s are just so much better, and the same goes now for the M103. So now we have a premium tank which isn't really good. Yes, it is the first premium tank, and yes, I do want to quote here the awesome Epic guys as well. Their argument is, at the beginning of World of Tanks, when the first time tier 8 premium tanks have been introduced, they were not good. That is true, but consistently they started to become better and better and better and better. Until we had tanks like the Defender, Borask, Skoda T56, Bisonte, etc, etc, etc. This is a respectable fear which could happen with tier 9 premium tanks as well. I made a video about it, called it the opening of Pandora's Box. So the Pandora's Box has been opened, and I still am a firm believer that we will see more and more premium tanks coming to the game at tier 9. However, at this moment when we are solely focusing on the Dezgamez K, I cannot recommend this tank. Not for 75 euros, not for 37 euros, maybe, just maybe for 750 or for 15 euros. But then you still have to ask yourself, do you really want to pay 15 euros for something which is underwhelming in most situations? In all situations where tech tree vehicles or reward vehicles are just plain better. And the fact that you will most likely do consistently more credits on a tier 8 vehicle because it is just an easier way to farm credits there, as you also sometimes can play against tier 10s, and if you do damage to tier 10s you make a lot more credits. Because again, the Dezgamez K doesn't really perform that well against tier 10 vehicles because of its lackluster armor. Against STB1s they are eating you alive with their heat rounds. So yeah, I generally cannot recommend this tank. It is not a good crew trainer either. Why? Because I have 5 crew members. The Kranwagen needs 3. That is why the Bofors Tornwagen is a much better crew trainer, which is coming out probably soonish, as we could see from the super test. So yeah, it's really just, first things first, a prestige vehicle. Second thing, it's for Sabaton fans. And third thing, it is to say, yo, I got a tier 9 premium. I don't really think it will make a lot of credits, and I don't really think it is a really good tank. That is my personal opinion, backed up by the 20 games I've played. And if you enjoy such reviews, don't forget to subscribe to my channel so we can reach 13,000 subs at the end of September, which would be epic. And don't forget to like and comment so the YouTube algorithm knows this video is something worth sharing. My name is RagingRaptor, have a great time, have a good luck in the marathon, and I'll see you in the next video. Cheers.